Foreign Minister Lavrov worked closely with me and with the rest of the members today. And I'm pleased to say that as a result, today in Munich, we believe we have made progress on both the humanitarian front and the cessation of hostilities front. And these two fronts, this progress, has the potential, fully implemented, fully followed through on, to be able to change the daily lives of the Syrian people.
Now, when we have written down the need of an integrated approach towards all these problems, I hope that the opposition and those who control various groups of opposition will have no more reasons to somehow avoid meeting their obligations. As U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said, we have agreed to set up a task force, which will have a meeting tomorrow in Geneva and will be working on a regular basis, co-chaired by Russia and the United States, with the help of other experts. And the goal of this task force is to help the UN and other humanitarian agencies to carry out their obligations with regards to civilians.
Lavrov added that Russia would not stop attacks in Syria, saying the cessation of hostilities did not apply to terrorist groups. Both Kerry and Lavrov said peace talks should resume in Geneva as soon as possible. Other diplomats, including German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier, said it will become clear in a few days whether the cessation of hostilities is a breakthrough or not. Earlier, we talked to our correspondent, Guy Henderson, in Munich. He gave us more details on this agreement.
17 countries from around the world, all of the major stakeholders. There was even representation from the Syrian opposition here as well. And there was what appears to be, and I say this cautiously, a very significant breakthrough. Just to give you the highlights of it, firstly, an immediate or almost immediate channel of humanitarian aid running into Syria. That will be overseen by a working group which will start its work in Geneva in Switzerland within literally a few hours from now. And humanitarian aid we expect to start flowing into Syria, overseen by Russia and the United States, cooperating in that regard. Humanitarian aid flowing into Syria. Then number two, at the conclusion of these talks, during a press conference, Secretary of State Kerry announced that there would be a cessation of hostilities within 1 week. Again, a task force assigned, again overseen by the Russians and the Americans, that will prepare the forces on the ground, the complex web of different factions and forces battling each other through this increasingly complex civil war towards a cessation of hostilities. It's not at this stage being called a ceasefire, but a cessation of hostilities. Some discussion around whether there may be a difference between those two. But certainly diplomats here seem to believe that at this stage, UN Resolution 2254 can still be on track. And just to remind you, that would be a peace deal by the middle of this year and elections by the middle of next year. Well, another significant development appears to be what the Russian foreign minister said was a new level of cooperation militarily as well, actively cooperating in what he described as a common approach towards ISIL and also various military forces operating over Syria, trying to coordinate to ensure that there aren't similar incidents to the one we saw between Turkey and Russia on 2 occasions in recent months.